So suddenly our taxes went up by almost $750,000 and sales had stopped. So we had a problem on our hands. So a little bit later I'll tell you how this turned out. So Duncan is not a typical sit in your Crystal Palace office up on Capitol Hill. He's a very objective and grounded fellow that really enjoys coming out in the Main Street and out into the world and staying connected with all of us. Doug, thank you for coming back here and speaking to us, and please give a hand for Doug Duncan.
How did our forecast work out? So in January of 2017, we forecast 849,000 single-family starts. There were 848,000. We forecast 616,000 new home sales. There were 608,000. We forecast 5,510,000 existing home sales, and there were 5,510,000. There's some evidence that from World War II out to like the early 1960s, expansions were shorter in duration, and some things changed, whether in the economy or in the conduct of monetary and fiscal policy, that extended the expansions. But this expansion will become the oldest if it continues to grow until August of 2019. Now people will say, well, just because it's getting old doesn't mean it dies. Well, that's true. There's usually a cause. However, I also make the observation that all of them have died. So not long ago, I met with the Federal Reserve Board, and there was, in that meeting, there was a discussion about inflation. I said I would just like to interject a couple of thoughts about changes in the interest rate path that have nothing to do with inflation. So I said, for example, as you, the Fed, run off your portfolio, and this is the Fed's portfolio as of February, here's their holdings of mortgage-backed securities by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and Ginnie Mae. So that much of their portfolio is an asset class they have never owned before, and they have said we're going to get rid of. So when they let that run off, mature, someone else in the market will have to buy that. And also they're letting some of the treasuries on their portfolio run off, and someone else will have to buy that. Plus, we're now growing the deficit and the debt, which will also have to be funded. As employment has spread out across the country, you've started to see a decline in the square footage of houses being built, because the houses were being built were for middle and higher income households who could afford those, not entry level. Now, when does that change? That changes when either there's a recession and job loss, or if not job loss, the slowing in income growth, or businesses say, you know, I can no longer make a profit paying a wage rate that will allow my workers to live anywhere near where they work. And so we're going to move the company.
Can everyone give Doug a big round of applause, please?
Thank you. So we got the taxes beat back down. We had to take the product off the market for selling it for individual units. We held on to it for another 3 years until we got more recovery. And then we sold this multifamily property for a cap rate of 6. And we exchanged it into 2 commercial properties for cap rates of 8 and 9. So it came out very well in the end. But it was scary there for a while. Okay, thank you. Thank you all very much for coming.